Eric and I are very, very happy to have been married for over 30 years at this point. You get past a certain point, and in deference to your wife, you don't say, as you say, it's past 30 years. Unless you're introducing the guest speaker, which will get more precise. Anyways, we've been to a lot of marriage retreats over the years, okay? Many, many marriage retreats, but Eric and I can both say with very sincere hearts, there has rarely been a marriage retreat weekend that we have looked forward to more than the one we're a part of this weekend right here. Because we've never been as excited, almost ever, to hear from the speakers that we're hearing from this weekend, Tom and Kelly Brown from Atlanta. We're just so grateful that we get to have them here with us. Tom and Kelly are a very special couple, very, very unique. They are in their 60s, believe it or not. They look like they're in their 30s, and they've got the enthusiasm and the energy of a couple in their 20s. But believe it or not, they've been married over 40 years, and they bring tremendous life wisdom and experience when they come and speak to us about what it means to have a thriving, faithful, joyful, growing marriage in Christ. But Eric and I want to take a little bit of time to make sure that we all know who they are so we can understand what a blessing it is for us to learn from them. Now, for those of us who are older in Christ, we need no introduction to Tom and Kelly Brown. But there are many others who may not fully understand who they are. And, it's important for us in our faith as Christians to have heroes. Eric and I are now the proud grandparents of a little girl and a little boy. And we want them to grow up. Yeah, I know it. You can't believe it, right? But we want them to grow up with spiritual heroes in the faith. And I'm telling you, for our grandchildren, two of their heroes that we're sure they're going to have are Tom and Kelly Brown. And I just wanted to ask, if you've ever been in the church in L.A., could you please stand up? If you've ever been in the church in San Francisco, could you please stand up? So those of us who are in the church in Denver, can you please stand up? You are all a part of Tom and Kelly Brown's spiritual legacy. Have a seat, have a seat. Literally 4 decades ago, Tom and Kelly came to Colorado. They were baptized at the University of Florida. Call out to the Gators there. And Tom got his master's degree at Abilene Christian University. They went into the full-time ministry. They came to Boulder. They started perhaps what has been, I would say, and probably we're biased here in Colorado, the most successful campus ministry in the history.
Retreat, so my husband's mind is going.
We still got 8 hours, Oh my gosh. Like I said, all good marriage retreats start with complete and utter humiliation. So now we're sure to have a great one ourselves. But they started one of the most successful campus ministries in the history of our fellowship of churches. And almost all of us here, in some way, shape, or form, has a debt of gratitude to that. And so, Tom and Kelly, I hope you feel like you've come home by coming back here to Colorado.
Frank and I were able to host Tom and Kelly at our house before we got here. They stayed at our house, and it was such a privilege and honor to have them. And I want to especially introduce Kelly. She is an amazing, amazing woman. And she's not only beautiful on the outside, but just amazingly gorgeous inside. And she has a sweet, caring, loving exterior, and there's a toughness inside of her that I really, really am inspired by and that I look up to. Whether you're sitting down with Kelly for 5 minutes or 5 hours, you feel like you're her best friend, and you become best friends with her because she just wants to hear about your life, and she is so amazing in just having such a deep compassion for others. And the 3 things that I thought of about Kelly that I really admire about her is Number one is she's an overcomer. There's been, challenges throughout her life, in her Christian life, and I just feel like she has really relied on God and on Jesus to overcome through the years. And I just I'm called higher by that. It's just so amazing what you've accomplished and done, despite the challenges you've had. And then the second that I really admire about her is she's such a learner. When you sit down with somebody who's older than you, you want to learn from them, and then yet she is like so eager to learn from whoever she's around and always wanting to grow, enthusiastic about growing, and it just really inspires me to watch you continue to grow and continue to learn so amazingly. And then I think thirdly that you are one of my heroes in the faith. And it's not because, some people think of heroes, you have to be perfect and do everything perfect. The way that Kelly is a hero to me is just by her heart for God, and that she just inspires me through her relationship with God and constant reliance on Him. And I want to be like you, and as I grow older, and I just am so inspired how you've continued to serve in the ministry with your faith. And in your marriage, and it's so cool just talking to her. She was like, I just love Tom so much. We just get along. I don't know what I would do without him. And when I hear things like that, my heart warms up because I just am so excited that we get to hear from them. It's going to be such a treat to hear from them. I love you, Kelly. I'm looking forward to learning from you.
Amen. Tom and Kelly have been incredible church leaders, and currently they lead the church in Atlanta. Tom has worked for 10 years in the corporate world, and they've raised 2 beautiful children. They have 2 wonderful grandkids that they love very, very much. They bring all of this to the table, but also Tom and Kelly are gifted communicators. Yes. And so today I'm sure that we're going to feel very blessed by the end of the afternoon. But we're so thankful that you're here with us. We are your family. Or your home away from home. Colorado's always going to have, hopefully, a special place in your heart, and you'll always have a very special place in ours as well. Mm-hmm. Tom and Kelly Brown, let's give them a warm welcome.
I think we're going to, are we doing the song? Okay. All right, go ahead. Hey, thanks. Well, thank you. Hans, I hope this thing doesn't fall off. I'm having a few little challenges, but I'll try to keep it on. This is a fun group, isn't it, Kelly? Oh, my goodness. We're gonna have a great time. 5-minute engagements, legalized pot, How about the Broncos? Yeah! Yeah, we were here for the original Orange Crush. You guys remember that? Awesome. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been as grateful that there was no rectangle under my chair and that I was a square today. I mean, I was like so happy, about that. And you guys you guys got into it up here. You may just need to go back to the room for an hour and finish that job up, and then come on back, and we'll still be here, and take care of you. Hey, Frank, we've added to the blooper reel. How about that? Oh, my goodness. Very cool. Hey, we're so happy to be back in Colorado. Just some of our greatest memories and greatest friendships are here. So many things to remember. Some things we forgot, like how dehydrated you get, when you're up here and your skin starts falling off and all of those kind of things. But generally, I mean, it's just amazing to be here. And what a theme. More than just married. Is that not awesome, Kelly?
Absolutely. Now, I don't know about you, but I like more of life. Don't you? I don't want less of life. I want more. And as a little kid, think about it. Didn't you want more toys at Christmas? Yeah. How many of you counted the Christmas presents under the tree before? Come on, we wanted more. And we want more fun. We want more candy, right?
Yeah, you get a little bit older and you want more money. Yeah, that's what you want.
Or, a lot of us young moms, what do we want?
Yeah.
More sleep, please.
As we get a little bit older, right, John, you just want more energy. Just bring it on. I meant to say Hans. Okay, as Hans gets older, yeah, that's much better. We'll keep it on. Here, okay. So, but really what you want is more of each other, more of you. Okay, how about, since we're all married here, how about looking at your husband or your wife right now? Okay, look deeply into those limpid pools, into those eyes. And be able to, and tell them, I want more. I want more of you. It's going to be a hot time in the old town tonight. However, some of you, like Kelly and I, have been to some married retreats where it was like, oh, this is terrible. We're doing lousy now. Everybody's going to be happy and want to go up to the room and have a great time, and we're going to be staring at each other, at dinner. We have been married 40 years, right, Kelly?
Absolutely.
But here's the beautiful thing. 40 years in a row. That's like awesome. 40 years in a row, straight on through. And that's really significant for us because there were definitely some years where that was in doubt. And we'll try to be open as we share about that and how we overcame those challenges and get to a much better place than we've ever, been before. Here we go, more. And then our theme is from mundane to magical. You like magic? Yeah. Want to make some more magic over the years, ahead? Absolutely. That's our theme, and we're excited to be able to talk about it right now. Actually, it really starts happening when you first meet each other, okay? And you start falling in love, right, sweetheart?
Absolutely. I love thinking back to the time that we were dating, but you have to remember back sometimes and just remember what it was like to fall in love. And don't you remember him noticing you? Yeah. And then you noticing him? And then you noticing him noticing you? Don't you remember that moment? I mean, that's kind of how it all began in the beginning. It was like that, wasn't it? Where you had those heart palpitations. I mean, you were noticing him, and he was noticing you.
Yeah, and then there were the dating guidelines. Remember those? Actually, when Kelly and I started dating, there were no dating guidelines. There were not, because we had some straight shooters in our campus ministry. Sam and Jerry Lang, playing it by the book. Bruce and Robin Williams, playing it by the book, kind of growing up around the church. Kelly and I kind of grew up around the world, like big time. And so they had to create all the dating guidelines and rules because of us. So if you've ever stumbled over one of them, just, cast your bitterness up in this direction, because we started off really the whole thing. But it was wonderful. We did get married, and we moved to Colorado. Wow, just some of the greatest years that we've ever had, just being here. It's amazing. Now, when I was showing, some of these pictures to some people, the one before and the one we're going to look at, later, some of the smart aleck brothers in our ministry said, who is that exactly? Is that you? Kelly looks exactly the same. And then people come up to me and say, yeah, I can see you in there somewhere, Tom. But you do get older, and there's some things that aren't as good. In the 70s, lots of hair. Today, longing for hair, all that stuff. In the 70s, killer weed, now weed killer. I mean, that's like what your life is going to. Back in the 70s, going to a new hip joint, and, now getting a new, hip joint, yeah. Passing the driver's test was exciting when you were young. Now you catch your breath on that vision test, okay, when you're taking it. That word when you were younger, whatever. Now, depends. I really hope you don't get that. I really, 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 hope there. But but you get older. But one of the really great things, this is it, one of the greatest things about getting older as a disciple is your marriage can get just so much better. Or worse. But we wanted to go in that other direction. Before Kelly shares a little bit, I want to ask you, we were here in Colorado, and then we moved to San Francisco, and then to Boston, and, we've been to California, we've been Massachusetts, we've been, in Georgia, in Florida. And I got a question for you as we start off this marriage retreat, okay? A little trivia. Any of you guys like trivia? Okay, here it is. Let's go California. How many questions can you miss on the California marriage license exam and still get a marriage license? Some of you are so bright. It's amazing. Well, we know the answer. It's like zero. There is none. And there's none in Colorado, and there's none in Georgia. You know, you need no certification to be able to get married, and most of us are, you know, kind of like, you know, idiots, okay, as we just start off, you know, with that. But even, I tell you what, even the mundane, okay, is magical when you're on the right slide. You know, little demons follow me around. Seriously, they follow me around with these things. So out, cast you out. All right? But even the mundane, seriously, is super magical when you're in love, especially when you first get married. Don't you remember?
Yeah, I remember. I definitely remember. I remember getting married and going to Abilene, Texas, where Tom was finishing his master's. We lived in probably a 20 by 20 apartment. You literally could have to jump into the bed because there was no room to walk around in the bedroom. But it was our first apartment, and we were together, and we could wake up together. And so the simple things, being poor together, you know, they were exciting. I mean, the mundane really was magical. Being poor together was fun. We sat there, and we had a 2 by 2 inch TV screen. Now, I don't know if that even exists anymore. Cool. We could probably sell that for a lot of money, though, don't you think? But seriously, we had to put our heads together. It was just the coolest thing, though, to feel like we're just so cozy. We're enjoying Welcome Back, Kotter on a 2 by 2 screen. It was amazing. It was magical because we were in love.
Yeah, we just had this rash of weddings this year, probably 13 or 14 of them at North River at our church, and it's amazing. You know, you see these young couples, they fall in love, and just the most mundane things, you know, going to the grocery store, you know, together, going to bed together, obviously, waking up together, all of those things. And do you remember, can you kind of channel back to when you were married? I mean, it is exciting seeing all these people getting married, and even the old folks can get married. You know, we got Mark Gottenweller and Lynn Beatty. You know, actually, you know, we're married 3 years ago, and it's magical for them too. You know, but something starts happening along the way, and then as you live life and the pressures and the daily grind of life and some of the differences, you know, that you're kind of like channeled into when you first get married, starts developing some challenges. And so we'd say, where did the magic go? And we think when the mundane turns to the miserable. You ever been there? The same things that used to give you so much joy, now they're a source of irritation in your life.
In Song of Psalms, a lot of us are familiar with this. It says something very interesting there. In chapter 2, verse 15, it says, "Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom." And I think about, wow, if there's anyone that was in love, if there's any excitement about romance, I mean, it's in Song of Psalms. You know, it's almost embarrassing. You almost feel like, wow, do I have romance in my marriage when you read that? It's exciting. But even this couple that was so infatuated, so in love, they realized that there were dangers lurking. And when you think about catching the little foxes that ruin the vineyard, what do foxes do? They sneak into the vineyard, and they gnaw on the vines. I mean, they dig holes in the vineyards. They spoil the roots. And they seem so cute, don't they? I mean, they are kind of adorable little animals. But they can destroy a vineyard. And when I think about it, in our marriage, it started with just small things. We can actually ruin the roots of our marriages, the foundation of our marriage, by the little foxes. And I want us to think about that for a moment. What are the little foxes that we have to deal with? Let's just talk about it very specifically, because when I think about it in our marriage, I think neglecting each other's needs can be a really big problem. Not protecting the relationship. You know, you have to pour time and energy into a relationship to keep the love strong. You just do, just like anything in life. And I think about a lack of connection or just time to talk. You know, I love talking. I think every woman probably does. That connects me emotionally. It meets my emotional needs when I just talk. And we can talk about random things. You know, I just want to know how his day was. I just want to know what Tom was feeling today from the meeting. Or, you know, I just want to know. And I want to know when he's down. I want to know when he's up. I want to know what scriptures encourage him. But a lack of connection can be those little foxes that come in. And, I have to initiate this more because this happens to be my strength. I love communication. I love talking. I love connecting. Tom is, he can connect in like 2 minutes. It's like, I'm good. I'm not good. I'm just warming up.
Yeah.
So, but another area about not meeting each other's needs is just lack of spontaneity. And I think this can relate to a lot of women. I mean, this is Tom's strength. And he has a habit of finding new restaurants, just new exciting fun things to do. He'll set up a date and go, hey, we're going on a date Friday night. Really? Where? Well, I'm not telling you. And, he makes it exciting. And I think I'm a little bit more, I like things planned out. Do we have any women here that are very ultra organized? A lot of us, we could learn this from our husbands. We could really and truly learn this, how to be spontaneous. It makes life literally more fun, more exciting to just be spontaneous. I think another area, a little fox, is making life about the kids and neglecting each other. It may be even your little darlings that become the foxes in your marriage. Those little darlings, that you just want to focus on all the time and worry about all the time. And we've got a lot of issues in our family and in our, we talk about things, and at some point, Tom will go, we're not going to talk about that anymore. I'm like, great. And I think we need to limit sometimes the amount of time we talk about everything else but us.
Amen.
What about lack of affection? I was too guarded in the beginning because in our marriage, I thought, well, he wants sex all day long. I can't do that. I thought he thought about it 24 hours a day, and I'm like, oh no, is this where it's going? And really, like, wow, I could tell you stories, really. But I won't. But the truth was, he just wanted affection.
Yes, that's true.
So, there you go. See? That was spontaneous. See, women?
Much better.
But we need to remember one thing, women. Okay, think about this, really. The frog turned into a prince when he was kissed. So if you kiss him more, and you're more affectionate, he's going to turn into Prince Charming. It's going to happen. I believe that. Okay, it works. But I didn't understand that in my marriage in the beginning.
So much of these things that you really enjoy each other when you get started, they can become just irritations. And a large measure of this flows from the fact that men and women, we are just flat out different generally with how we sort of process life.
It's just, there's all this pressure, and sometimes it feels like it's right up on me, and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless, and I don't know if it's going to stop. That's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
You do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail...
See, you're not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just... Sometimes it's like there's this achy... I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. All of them.
That sounds really hard.
Thank you.
Ow! Come on. If you would just...
Don't...
Try to see things my way. Do I hate to keep...
Can anybody relate to that one? Oh, my goodness. All right, time to open up the Bible. How about that? Yeah, how about let's look at some scripture here. Ephesians chapter 4. Let's turn over there. It is true, though. We do look at things in a different way. And God's plan is for it to be a strength. even a glue in our relationship. But these things that Song of Solomon is calling little foxes, they can turn into great irritations and then into low-grade bitterness and then into much worse, okay? And so the Bible is going to tell us something, particularly these passages relate to us as married people. It's going to actually give us some commands. How about that, guys? We're going to drill down a little deeper on this when the men get together, okay? But let's just take a look at some of them. I hope these are very familiar, to you. First of all, it says, in your anger, these kinds of things, you can even see some a little anger starting to kick in that little video, okay? And from your own experience, these things that are irritation, they can start getting a flashpoint where you start feeling anger. And here's what the Bible says. When you do get angry, when you do get irritated, do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. There's a shelf life, and you must repent and let it go. Amen? How you doing on that, okay? A lot of times we don't do so good on that, men and women, combined. Why? Because there is a dark side, right, to our lives and to our makeup and to the ways that we're different. There's a dark side that is lurking out there that is going to try to turn us. Okay, instead of being all that we can be in our marriage, in our Christian life, it's going to try to turn us to destruction and turn us to actually hurt ourselves and hurt, honestly, about anybody else in our wake. So you want to give the devil a foothold in your house? In your bedroom, in your kids' room? Absolutely not. And so we take this seriously, all right, and we're going to tell you some ways that we can do that. As we continue reading in chapter 4, again, you can look at right in your Bible. If it's not circled and underlined, really ought to be something we can talk about in our times with each other. But we're just going to continue on. Don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit others, those who listen. Is that a hard passage for you? No unwholesome talk. I still remember a time, this was a pivotal time for Kelly and I in our relationship. We were here in Colorado. Ministry was going really great. A lot of people in the church where we were, it was a kind of progressive sort of traditional Church of Christ. A smaller one in Boulder, and we got kind of, campus ministry really up and going, and but we didn't focus that much on our marriage, and the whole idea of discipling, training, mentoring, that wasn't something that was in the culture of the church. So we really went from getting a lot of input to getting almost none. And then we get these little irritations. And Kelly mentioned that, I like to be spontaneous, her not so much, especially in the romantic, area. I remember we were very consistent about getting together every week for our special time on Monday. We go to lunch. And I remember one time, I was just being very cavalier and kind of like, just telling her, hey, listen, sweetheart, I know, our sex life is probably always going to be sort of mediocre, but it's okay. I've just resolved with that. I can deal with it. I can live with it. And I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. Just speaking the truth. And she'd start dying inside. And it deeply, deeply, deeply hurt Kelly. And it took us in our relationship starting to go down a road where mutual bitterness started getting in there. Low-grade bitterness on my part because I didn't think I was getting what I really deserved or wanted. And on her part, like, I can never please this guy. Any woman relate to that? I can never please him. I can never make him happy. And that was a really, really, challenging, time for us. And because it's not an accident, a verse later, get rid of all the bitterness, rage, anger, brawling, and slander, along with every form of malice. Now, what should happen at this point, okay, so here we are in that time period, here in Boulder. What should be happening right now is the music should change and enter discipling. Discipling should be interjected right in there, and we're talking those kind of things out, and we're getting some consistent help in our life, because without that, unless you're some super wife or super husband or whatever, in super deep character and deeply, way more spiritual than most of us, you're not going to be able to get out of this spiral. And it can just make your kind of magical marriage mundane, or it can really take you down a deeper, darker side. And so there's some things that the Bible says we just need to get rid of, shake it off, get it out of our lives, and discipling can help us do that.
I'm so glad that you finally agreed to get together so we can talk about your marriage. And so let's just start off. What would you say is the main problem?
Well, it's because she... No, you never listen. Come on, my Oh, you're never in the mood, so I don't want to do.
Calm down. I'll tell you what, let me just read a scripture. Over in Ephesians 4, in verse 22, it says, you were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, and to be made new in the attitude of your minds.
Do you see what it's saying? You can't treat each other this way. That's your old self talking. You need to put that off and put on the new self. Then you'll have a marriage like Song of Songs.
Song of Songs? I love you.
I love you too. Take all of that sinful garbage and just put it off.
I like to complain. I'm nothing but a pain. That's what my husband said. That's what my husband said.
We never go on dates. You get home from work too late. That's what my wife say. That's what my wife say.
And we keep whining. Can't stop, won't stop crying. I don't know if this marriage is gonna last because all we do is fight. But God offers us some help. Gives us a brand new self. Put your own life on the shelf. Need you put it on. We've been this way too long. On a marriage like hung up song. Get rid of all this wrong. Need you put it on. Always ignoring me. He never treats me sweet. Can't stand his stinky feet. Hey, you, they smell like rotten meat.
She always has to nag. Makes me carry her handbag. Her cooking makes me gag. My marriage is a drag.
But we start praying and stop misbehaving. It's like we got the spirit, a new attitude taking over in our mind. 'Cause God offers us some help. Gives us a brand new self. Put your own life on the shelf. Need to put it on. We've been this way too long. Want a marriage like song. Get rid of all this wrong. Need to put it on. I put it off my old self. I put it off. I put it off my old self. I put it off.
Hey, just think while you've been bickering and arguing, trying to do things the way you used to do them back in the world, you'll now hear God's plan at this retreat.
My husband is my lover and my friend, all because of God, and I am gonna love him.
To my wifey over there, gonna take better care. Gonna be a better man. Gonna love.
Gives us a brand new self. Put your own life on the shelf. Need to put it on. We've been this way too long. Want a marriage like song. Get rid of all this wrong. Need to put it on. Put it on my old self. I put it on.
All right. Hey, let's hear it for putting it off, all right? Yeah. Hey, we want to get it on, but you got to put it off before you get it on, okay? You know? And so this is like so important, you know, at this point to because we got stuff in almost every marriage, you know, and if you don't have it now, just give it a little bit of time, where you're going to have to like make a decision, you know, not to just address this with little Q-tips, you know, or trying to get it a little bit better, but take radical action to change certain things that go from little foxes to real destruction, you know, in in our lives. There's this other passage that I think we've all got to be very, very aware. You ever seen a marriage fall? You ever seen it just slide into hopelessness? Okay, and where you kind of like I was at back in maybe 1982 or something, where I guess it's just always going to be like this. I'm a Christian. I got to deal with it. I'll put up with it, and maybe it'll get better, you know, in heaven. What happens? This can go when we don't deal with this in bitterness. You see what the Bible says in Hebrews. It tells us, see to it, and it's a word that's for visit. Go see each other. Be involved in each other's lives is what it's saying. We call it discipling, mentoring, training. I don't know what you call it, okay? But, you know, we'll talk about this with the guys. Are you high maintenance or low maintenance? You got to figure that out. Because see to it that nobody fails to get the grace of God, and that no bitter root, does that scare you? No bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. Our marriages impact many people, right? A whole lot more than we maybe even realize. Not just our kids, but people around us. See to it. See to it. Again, the Greek word for visit. Be involved in each other's lives. Not just personally see to it, but see to it as a body. You know, see to it that none of you is sexually immoral or godless. And he goes on, you know, to speak about this. You know, for me, unfortunately, I went down that track. Okay, and I'm like one of those guys that is very enthusiastic about what I'm doing. I got a good work ethic. I really believe in God and the kingdom. I love all of that. I'm not a naturally good husband. Okay, didn't have that kind of background or DNA, you know, sort of growing up. And then the other thing is, I'm not a naturally open person. And when one of the problems of when you start doing really good in certain areas, you're able to kind of not deal with other things in your life. And with me, I really was very impure, very immoral before I became a disciple. That kind of stuff gets cleaned up and you get going. But you know, it's still, Satan knows where to find you. He knows your address and where to come back and get you. And when you're not really open, and I actually, you know, even in this time period in book, just wasn't really open and really transparent about some of the, you know, impurities in my life and some of the sexual temptations and the lust. And obviously, as I talked about before, my lack of really being the kind of husband, listening, caring, being involved, getting help, you know, in our marriage. And we ran into real marriage challenges in our life. We actually moved from San Francisco area back to Boston to be able to get some help on that, didn't we? And we made some progress, but I probably needed more work than we got. And we got really excited about going out and planting the church in L.A., did that, had a great group, wonderful beginning. But then what happened is that I was in that same pattern of not being super open about that. I fell into some sexual temptation, and you know, finally I just I called back the brothers and sisters in Boston that sent us out and said, hey, listen, here's where I'm at. Here's what's going on. And they were very loving and kind about it. They said, you need to come back, you know, to Boston. You guys need some more help. We'll take care of the church out in L.A. For me, it was like a complete failure in my life. My big dream I had. And, yeah, I was a rural sector leader for 15 minutes. I was talking to John about that, you know, until I kind of flamed out from being a strong Christian leader because I didn't deal enough internally with me and not really strong enough in my leadership with Kelly in our relationship. And it was a rough thing. I went back to Boston. I just couldn't get it back together. I just was so discouraged. People were helping us, but I didn't respond with that 2 Corinthians, like that godly sorrow, right? Where you just want to go after it to really change. I got into that self-pity thing, and woe is me, and wow, I guess, I guess my dreams aren't really going to happen, and I'm not that good a husband. Just that negative. You ever go into negative thinking, and it's like a spiral, and it's just hard to get out of it? I couldn't get out of it. And then finally, kindly but straightforwardly, the leaders in Boston said, Tom, you can't be in the ministry anymore. I was like graciously fired. I'm 40 years old, and at that point, everything in my life that I loved and really cared about, I did love Kelly. I loved my family. I just didn't know how to do it right. I loved the dream. I loved the kingdom, and it was like, wow, I've totally flamed out. Here it's kind of challenging after you've been in the ministry, 15 years, and then you're 40, and hey, ex-minister for hire, come on, bring it on, bring the big bucks. It didn't quite work out that way, and found myself in a little telemarketing room with two 22-year-old girls dialing for dollars, making $24,000 a year, with all my kids. I'm like, wow, this is what my life has come to. So I didn't really go aggressively at letting Christ just transform me and change me and put into work spiritually. What I did, like a lot of guys, I got to go to work. Nobody else is going to look at it. I got to go to work. Okay, and started working hard and did well, in my company, but not still being open. Kelly just, losing her dream. Our kids having to be moved all around the country, deeply hurting them. But I kind of went into the guy mode. Okay, let's just go do some, some work. It got worse. Okay, because Satan, I think, has a plan to target all of us, our individual lives, our children, our marriages. We've been around most of us long enough to know that. And don't get overconfident, man. If you told me that, 4, 5, 7, even 10 years in to my Christian life or into my marriage, that I would be going down this rabbit hole, I never would have believed you. But nobody, and there are lots of examples in the Bible, right? Nobody is immune from that, because there is a dark side that wants to target us, and if we don't fight with spiritual weapons and put this stuff into practice, we're going down. You may not go all the way down like I did, but you'll be going down. And there will be some misery that'll be there. Went out on the road, super successful, making a lot of things happen, and I was unfaithful. And just broke Kelly's heart. I was just, you ever get to a place where you go, how did that ever happen? I could never have dreamed. I don't want that to happen. I never dreamed that would happen. And it was a very, very sad time in our lives, and it hurt Kelly, and our kids really deeply. We had to move all the way across the country back to California to get the kind of discipling, that we really needed. You ever have a bad year? Anybody? I had a bad decade. Seriously, a bad decade. In the 90s. Some of you probably said, wonder what's happening with Tom and Kelly. If I did go to a conference, I'd be sitting as far away in the back and in the top of the bleachers, that you could possibly, because I just felt so, so out of it. And it was a really tough time. It took me, guys, and this is like a cautionary tale, it took me a long time, the better part of a decade, to get my faith back. Not just to not be going out and doing bad things. But and I still came to church, but it was church. And I was there because the kids needed it. I knew it was good for Kelly. We were doing okay, a little bit better, but talk about magic. Magic? No way. At least out of misery to survival. It's not really where God wants us, in, His plan. And then, as time went on, I did better. We did get discipling, didn't we? High maintenance discipling. We got discipling every week. And sometimes the mature guys like the Williams or the Jensens would pull in our family group leader that wasn't as experienced. And we start going after it. And I mean, these family group leaders would start turning pale and just like, what is going on? And just like run out of the room crying. It was just, we needed a lot of work. A lot of work. And praise God if you're in a low maintenance stage. We are now, right, honey? You sure? You can tell. We're like in a zone right now. Seriously, we have gone from one of the worst marriages in the whole kingdom of God, okay, to, I think, one of the best. We're like in a zone. It's great. Now, I mean, it did take us till we were over 50 to get there, so, hey, pay me now, pay me later. Get this thing on good, okay? Don't waste some years, all right? So, but there was a time, started doing better spiritually, and we were actually asked, and as we were both turned 50, I think, to go back into the ministry, which was like amazing. And we said, one of the brothers who asked us we just said, did you get any advice? Seriously. Did you get any advice about this? Yeah, we've talked with the Bears and some other things. We think, we think that, yeah. And so I said, wow. I'd already got out of my company. Our company got acquired. I was able to do okay financially, and we were kind of supporting ourselves, just helping out in the church, because we had a little time and a little bit of finances we could do that. And so we were kind of excited about that, weren't we? And we didn't know if we'd be any good, seriously. It's been a long time. Are we going to be any good? And the church had been going through some stuff. In the 90s, kind of some things went on, and, were challenging, for a few people. So I was kind of excited, and I remember sitting down with Bruce Williams and a couple brothers and say, Tom, okay, here's what you're going to have to do. If you're going to go back in the ministry, we need to make sure that you have been absolutely, completely honest with Kelly about everything that's going on in your life. Have you? And I will. You kind of look back over, and I realized there were some things that had happened in that interim from the time we'd moved back out in 92, to then where I hadn't been open about. And I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's been a long time since then, but that will kill her. It'll destroy her. I don't know if we can make it back from that. I don't need to be in a ministry. And I really don't want to hurt Kelly. And I think, honestly, it was most of it. And so they said, it took me about several weeks, and then finally I said, okay, I should do it anyway, whether you're doing the ministry thing or not. And so the Williamses lined it up. We went to a little flea-bitten motel in Oceanside that we called the Shrine, okay? And they said, we need to go there, and we had dinner. It was on a weekend, and we had communion together. And Bruce said, at communion, when we have it, I want you to be able to open up and tell Kelly, just be completely open. And so, if you're ever dreading anything, I was dreading that so much. And it took time for that, and we had communion, and I said, Kelly, I need to tell you something. There's something I've never really been honest with you about that, that I've done, and I know it's really going to hurt you. And kind of at that point, Kelly got out of her seat, and she jumped toward me. And I freaked, because she's done that before, actually, in the other, in the past. Seriously. Erica, you're right. She's petite, but big time, big time. She and Trinity might be able to go round and round in the old days, on that. So, seriously, I recoiled back, and Kelly came up, and she knelt down before me, and she said, Tom, you don't need to say anything. I forgive you. I love you. And at that point, never before in my life, I understood the grace of God. The grace of God. And, wow, transformative moment. So, as our kids say, Kelly's the hero in our relationship. And she is. She deserves that, title. And something? I'll tell you, from that time on, it's been an upward trajectory, hasn't it? And, we just got a marriage back we never even imagined, even in the old, vibration days. And so what I want to super encourage you, and we'll talk about this Sunday morning, is the Bible will say, the best is yet to come. You may have to take care of some, laundry. put it off, some things to get there, some discipling, some input, some whatever, but the best is yet to come, okay, for anybody and for everybody. And just want to make sure you know who the hero is in our family. Kelly, we love you and we're proud of you. Amen.
I believe every marriage needs a breakthrough to get to the magical. And God obviously had to break us down before he could rebuild. And it was hard. It was one of the most hopeless feelings I think I've ever had. Hearing my husband share, I don't feel like the hero because I feel like just as much a sinner. You knew all the things I've done. We're on equal ground, honestly. I just believe that God was teaching us about grace. He was teaching us about mercy. I didn't know how to get my heart really there. I had to really fight for that. And what has helped me through the years to love my husband at his worst was Genesis 50. And when I think about Joseph, come on. I mean, here's a man, his own flesh and blood, tried to kill him. They sold him into slavery. I mean, he just goes from one terrible situation to another terrible situation. And it's like, the whole world's against him. If anybody could be unfaithful, feel sorry for himself, Joseph could have. He could very easily have gone that route. But it's so interesting when his brothers realize, oh my gosh, he knows who we are, and what's he going to do? And they throw themselves at him and say, we're your slaves. His response is so profound. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. He goes, am I in the place of God? And that's really how I felt. Who am I not to forgive someone? I'm just another sinner. And so God intended, or you intended to harm me. God intended it for good. And then their family was safe because there was a famine going on. And you just think, wow. He reassured them, and it said he spoke kindly to them. And I learned that from the scriptures. I just didn't happen. I learned that from God, and I feel like God wanted to teach me how to love like he does. And I needed to learn that. I didn't always love him that way. I saw a mess. I just saw so much darkness and just sin in our marriage. God saw a need to learn mercy. I saw hopelessness. I saw misery. We'll never be happy. God saw the potential for transformation. I just saw darkness in our hearts and just mess, just junk. And God saw two people who just needed to be restored. And now I just see God in all of it, in every bit of it. And I'm sad to say I just think he needed to purify me to the nth degree. And, I'm so thankful to be at a very different place, but it was so painful. And we have to be willing to go through the refining process to have a magical marriage. You just do. And some people have better marriages, but there's still things we can be purified in our marriages, in our hearts, in our attitudes, just our actions. But I never thought we'd see the sparkle back in our marriage. And now, honestly, it is a flame, and it's just a big bonfire to me. I think we went from fizzling to sizzling, honestly. And I tell Tom all the time, I just want to spend every minute I can with you. I just want more of you. And we're talking about that today. But if you saw the size of the blessing coming, you would understand the magnitude of the battle that you are fighting. There's some incredible blessings there. But there's a big battle we're fighting. It's bigger than us. It's bigger than just the two of us. It's really because our marriages were to resemble God and his church. And I'm so grateful that God is teaching me so much about his love, because they wanted to destroy us, but God wanted to rebuild us even better than before. And you know what? Now we're more than just married.
Yeah.
We really are. We really are one. I mean, it's just incredible to me. And I hope that you are more than just married.
Amen. The principles for a magical marriage are pretty much the same as for a magical Christian life. And as we break up and talk with men and women, drill down a little deeper on some of these things, just give you a few takeaways, okay, that you guys can reflect on and talk about, maybe over dinner other times. Hey, first of all, let's make the magic happen again, all right? If you're in that magic stage, amen, enjoy it and slosh it around on some other people, okay? But if not, figure out how you can take aim at magic. Okay, again in your life. Embrace discipling. How about that, guys? Okay, embrace it. Okay, embrace it. Whatever you want to call it, mentoring aside. But that means figure out, am I high maintenance or low maintenance? Okay? And then don't whine about it if I'm chugging along and I don't ever get an oil change. Or, you gotta deal with your marriage and give it the attention that it needs. And then, just that great principle that Jesus taught us. Freely we've received, freely give. Just have our marriage, be something that is a reservoir of love and grace, to other people, and be able to give and pass on the things we've had, to each other. All right, from mundane to magical. All right, the best is what? Is yet to come. All right, I think we're done. We're ready for a break. Are we coming up? Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. We love being here with you.